We talk about cannabis as a gateway drug in the book, again, as I've said, a gateway not to harder drug use, but to the criminal justice system for our society's most marginalized populations. And you talked about some numbers. Even in the, and I'll say post-legalization era, but even as more states have begun to legalize cannabis in the United States, we still see, for example, between 2010 and 2020, hundreds of thousands of simple cannabis arrests in the United States. And again, a disproportionate number of those being of black and of brown people. And I think your point about what that does to an individual and their life chances is so crucial to what it is that we get at in the book. So you noted that we talk about the potential for change, and there's a positive story, but the negative story is one that when an individual gets even a simple cannabis possession offense, let alone more serious, but a simple cannabis possession offense, oftentimes it's more difficult for them to complete their education. It becomes more difficult to engage in the employment sector. Housing becomes a challenge. But it doesn't just impact them, right? If an individual has a lower chance of engaging in the labor market and being able to earn money for themselves, that means they can't do the same for their families. And ultimately, when we look at the nature of policing in North America and elsewhere, it's concentrated in already disadvantaged communities, right? So we see, and this is part of how we can deal with the solutions, but when you look at where the arrest for something, again, as seemingly benign as cannabis possession takes place, they are often highly concentrated in impoverished and heavily racialized areas, right? And so then the social networks within those communities become such that they are over-criminalized themselves. Think about the old mantra when you want to get a job. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? What happens when your social network becomes populated with people who've been criminalized for doing something, as you've noted, that is commonplace. I won't ask you to put your hands up and ask how many people enjoy cannabis in this room. I often do, but I won't do that. But it is something that is so common, right? But again, the nature of drug law enforcement and generally, but drug law enforcement almost in particular, is such that these communities become so targeted and further disadvantaged through this criminalization.
Yeah.